liver, the pancreas, the heart, they all function, right? They are active within the framework of our body.
Yes.
It means people with a lot of fire energy, they are always visible. So these people are very precise, organized, structured.
Indians we call it Vastu.
In India they call it Vastu, in
Vastu,
China they call it Feng
Feng
Shui.
Shui.
I call it two branches of the same tree.
The vibrations definitely make a huge difference. If you go from one space to the other, you can feel it.
You know, friends can be sometimes a little funny with each other. You don't mind. But if a third person comes and tells you the same thing,
By that time there was not much awareness about these things and also awareness that how it can impact your life.
correct.
Welcome to the Mann podcast.
Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. तो आज हमारे साथ हैं
Baba, we are joined with Vinay.
So the Mann podcast. Huh?
In the Mann podcast. From the Mann. I have only known Vinay for like a couple of weeks, and
Yes.
I'm already very excited to speak to you. But Baba knows Vinay for a very long time.
It's been like 3-4 years now.
Almost
Almost
5
5 years now.
Yeah.
So today we are with Vinay and
It was already wow when
when we thought about doing podcast with you,
Correct.
just to have this conversation with you. Because every time we meet and we
We
talk,
have a chat.
usually this 1 hour, 2 hours
just goes by.
just goes by. You know?
And that is the essence actually of our podcast. Where if you, when we were writing our vision or the mission statement that
Yeah,
we call it, when we were writing that, it was essentially conversations between friends about everything wellness,
Correct.
spirituality, etc., etc. And when I came to know about like you and when we spoke about initially
The last time.
and the few things that you spoke about, man, it really hit in the heart.
So I don't know, I always feel that everybody has an experience or experiences, and that is what we share. You share, I share, and that's how we all learn from each other. And some we learn from other people too.
In all walks of life, actually.
Yeah.
And then it's been a while that we had our first episode recorded. When we sat for that first episode, it was a very casual conversation. We were drinking hot water back in the day, right? Hot water, and then having chocolates. It was such a casual interaction between friends that just rolls into something really magical and beautiful. And finally, we have someone else who's adding to the roster. So thank you so much.
I feel there is a structure and then there is no structure. Okay? So ensure structure is needed to have discipline and organization.
100%.
But sometimes you have to unlearn what you have learned. And that can happen with no structure.
I like that. I like that. Some people are very logical,
Yes.
yeah, and some people are free flowing.
When I was talking to him and we decided that we'll do more podcasts on
Yeah.
wellness and meditation and spirituality. So I told him that we have to do podcasts, so we have to speak with Vinay. We have to meet Vinay and then we have to do a conversation. Because every time we meet, we just talk about this.
Actually,
And
we actually speak about sometimes random things and sometimes our experiences about life and sound and other things, and they actually realize that we've been just chatting for 1.5 hours.
Exactly.
So as we're talking about life and experiences, please tell us something about your journey. How
So
Yes.
right now we are at my store called Motion Trading.
Beautiful store, by the way.
the motion trading name actually came about because I was dealing with ball bearings before, which is to do with auto spare parts and machinery.
Oh.
This was until about 98, 99. So I've been in Dubai a long time, almost 32 years now. But at some point I heard about Feng Shui. So that got me interested because my childhood was growing up with my family and my father was a developer. So he used to take me to the building sites that he was making. So I was always fascinated with buildings and spaces. So what happened with Feng Shui was it gave me a different perspective to the buildings and spaces. It taught me many things. And in those days there was no online learning. So I had to travel to different countries and study with different teachers, which was great. Because learning with a teacher in his presence is completely different than learning online.
Yes.
If there's no option, but those days were different. And from Feng Shui, I understood that, how a space can impact us, how a sound can impact us, how a visual can impact us, how a smell can impact us.
Wow.
Basically, the study of the five senses or the
Wow.
five elements.
So whatever input we take through these five senses
Yeah.
impacts our whole psychology, mind,
Of course.
energy.
Of course. And it starts from, I think, when we are in the womb of the mother. Because if the mother, and at least in the old Indian culture, they would sing and chant. And that's why they would say, what you sing and chant, the baby is imbibing that vibration.
Yes.
It starts from there.
Right.
And then, when babies are small, the child is put here and they sing a song and make the child sleep. Those are very natural, you can say natural forms of sound therapy.
Wow. Wow. This is
Okay? And also if you, probably in your families or you have heard that the elderly ladies, while they are doing their work, they always humming.
Yes. Yes.
There's a purpose to that also. Because when you're humming, you're actually creating a vibration in your brain. And the mother was the standpoint or the core of the family in those days. Mother would not work, she would take care of the house and the family and the
Right.
children. So the more stronger she would be, and that's what she would pass on through the food, through the songs, and through sharings with the children. So it starts from actually a very core, intrinsic, basic level.
There is a story to this rhythm also. Like if you get into a rhythm of anything,
Yes,
work doesn't seem work.
exactly.
It just becomes like part of your being.
Yes, it's
You-
also called like brain in training because in the ancient days there was no mobile or communication.
Right.
So the tribes would play drums in one location and the other location would get a message through those codes.
Wow.
wow.
So when you listen to a drum beat in a consistent rhythm, it impacts your brain wave.
100.
If you look at the old styles of teaching, some people may say it's outdated, but they're still very, very valid.
Yes.
And like just what you mentioned that you were into Taekwondo, which is a Japanese or a Chinese.
It's a Korean art.
So Asian,
Mhm.
let's put it as Asian art.
Yes.
So in that you're using the chi or energy, right? In Japanese they call it ki. In India they call it prana. Okay, so chi is from the five elements because every element has a certain corresponding organ in the body. Like the kidney, the liver, the pancreas, the heart, they're all functioning, right? They are active within the framework of our body.
Yes.
But we forget to say thank you because we take it for granted. So it's the channeling of the chi, which is the study of Feng Shui. And there's another martial art form called Aikido. So ki is the energy.
Yes.
Where I'm not a martial art guy, but if I know that they use the opponent's force against them.
You got
Yes.
it. You got it.
Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's the study of energy.
Mm.
Whether it is Vastu, whether it is Feng Shui.
Mhm.
These all Chinese metaphysics have come from the same study of the five elements, which is wood, metal, fire, earth, and water.
Mhm.
And these impact us on a day-to-day basis. Can I elaborate on that?
Absolutely,
Yes,
100%.
So you imagine that we have a bag and we have to carry five elements separately. Is it easy to carry earth? Pretty easy. It's heavy, but you can move around with that. Metal, heavier, but still you can move around with that. Wood, you can move around. Water, very dicey. Yeah?
Right.
Not easy to carry a bag of water.
Yeah.
Fire, not
It's
possible.
not possible.
So it means people with a lot of fire energy, they are always visible. If there's 100 students and somebody is born with a fire element strong in his chart, he will always be the guy who's noticed. Because you can't hide fire.
Mm.
The person with a strong water energy will be always the one who we will hardly see. Because water can
Always.
escape
Yes.
anywhere. Wood will be the person who's very lively. Because wood grows upward.
Yes.
Wood never grows downward. The roots grow sure, but the
Upward movement.
movement
It
is
wants to
more.
be seen.
Yes. Metal is heavy, right? And there's a saying in Hindi, loha lohe ko katta hai. Right? So metal is the only element that can cut the signal. So that means it can sharpen. So these people are very precise, organized, structured. So like this is the study of the five elements,
Wow.
which comes into all our metaphysical sciences.
This,
And hence, that's why we are speaking. These nuggets of wisdom.
but these five elements also represent the different directions.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Can you please?
So water is the north, okay, and you can say from a universal perspective that there is more snow in the north than the south.
Right.
South is fire,
Yes.
Yes.
so you can say the south is more heat.
Heat.
West is metal, so you know the western countries are more cold.
Right.
East is wood, so they are more, more populated, more lively, stuff like that. So that's how things relate, and you can even do the reading on the energetical perspective of a human being based on the study of the five elements.
Of the elements.
Yes. Because we are made up of five elements. In Hindi, they say panch tattva.
Panch,
yes.
Panch tattva.
Right.
So that is what we are made up of.
And the fifth one is space. Right.
In Indian system, they call it space.
Right.
Here, there is a different word. So in the Chinese metaphysics, there's water, earth, wood, metal, and fire.
Got you.
So there is Agni, Jal, Vayu,
Akash.
Akash. So Akash is ether also.
Right.
So that's the only difference.
Exactly.
And Prithvi is earth.
Right. Yes.
So that's the difference between you can say Indian or Chinese metaphysics.
Indians we call it Vastu.
In India they call it Vastu, in
Vastu,
China they call it Feng
in Feng Shui.
Shui. I call it two branches of the same tree.
But did you also study Vastu?
No. I have a little knowledge of it, but no.
But you have been doing sessions here also for the Feng Shui. You've been going to people's
yes,
house and reading their
yeah, I
energy.
started this I think somewhere around 2002. So I studied with different Chinese teachers in 2000, 2001, 2002. And then I did a lot of consultation work. I used to write for magazines. And of course then as business grew, I started traveling a lot. So I don't do like a very, very regular consultations now, but it's more my clients who come back to me or they refer people. Because I have a business to run, I have an office in Bombay, so I am traveling most of the time.
Right.
But if somebody comes to you for the consultation,
Yeah, of
you
course,
do
I
that.
still do. Yeah, I still do that.
Because I remember a few months ago you just
I
called me. I called you and you said, "So where are you?" I'm at someone's house and
Yeah,
I
was
came
not
here
for
for
that.
the.
I still do
Feng Shui.
consultations. Yeah, I still do that. But like I said, that's one part of it. The sound therapy was another part of it. And the products are another part of it. So for me, they are all just branches of the same tree.
Also, when we are talking about products, you also like this crystals. I can see lots of crystals here. Yeah. And also, as long as I know that you have to put some crystals in some direction. Some
Yes.
crystals are good for some direction.
Correct. So crystals are basically derived from nature.
Right.
They are found in mines or the earth. And like the most common form is the clear quartz, which is, if you see that one.
Clear quartz. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we see it.
So clear quartz is basically, it has a piezoelectric quality. That means it can transmit energy.
Okay.
Okay. So when in modern technology, a radio cannot work without a piece of quartz. A computer has a silicon quartz chip that is made of crystal.
Right.
That's why it's called Silicon Valley in America. Okay, so without a piece of quartz, you cannot transmit any information. So if we discuss something, we put it on a computer and we click.
Mm.
So something in that machine or the processor is processing this data and transmitting it to millions of people or wherever we want.
Right.
It is only possible because you're programming a piece of quartz. Like even our watches run on quartz technology.
That's true. Yes.
Right? So through that it is possible.
Okay.
So if it works in a tangible, visible, accepted way, there has to be the other way. There is no yin without the yang, and vice versa. And that's why all the old cultures, whether it's a Native American, the Indian, the Asian, Egyptian, any old culture, they will always have some symbolic crystal elements in it.
Interesting.
And it's like, in a modern time, let's say if somebody falls sick at a older age, you go to the doctor, you say you need more iron, you need more magnesium, you need more calcium.
Mm-hmm.
What do? We have the medicine.
True.
So these are the same minerals. So this supplements it by you wearing them on your body. That supplements by putting it internally in you. But it's the same. If it works inside the body, it has to work outside.
And every crystal has a different effect on you.
Yes,
correct?
yes. Every crystal has a different impact on you, and it's just a world of vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vibrational energy.
Right. And I would also understand, notice that every crystal is also related to planets.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And the planetary influence also influences the crystal, hence influencing you.
Yes.
Right.
So you've probably heard that saying that if a bird is flying in one part of the world, the effect can go to another part of the world. So that's the power of vibrational energy. Right? And in modern technology, if one post on an Instagram or Twitter can
Impact.
literally break down a political career of somebody.
Right.
Right? So that's the power of a vibrational energy.
The vibrations definitely make a huge difference. If you go from one space to the other, you can feel it. Literally, if you go from, say, you're sitting in a car in a traffic situation, you get out of it and you come to a place like this, energy changes like 180 degrees.
See, how does a car feel to drive after a car wash?
Exactly.
What has happened? Nothing. It's just been washed.
Yeah.
So the water element has a cleansing energy.
Right.
That's why we shower every day.
Yeah.
Right? How would you experience a massage in a spa if there was no dim lighting, no fragrance, and no soft music?
Wow.
Although it has nothing to do with the therapist doing the massage,
Right.
you would not enjoy.
Yeah. No, that's why Vinay, your perspective about this is so unique. When you said that, I work with the five senses, to enhance those five senses, the experience of those five senses.
Right.
No one really puts it like that, right? You are relating those five senses with all the things that actually inspire you. If you look at good things, you feel good. If you listen to good music, you feel good.
Of course.
If you smell good, a scent,
You feel good.
you feel good. Right? It is so basic, but no one really taps into that, and that's why I'm really inspired to learn more about your journey into all of this.
So, like I was saying earlier, that we diverted a bit. So after I studied Feng Shui and I was doing consultation work, then the more I practiced, the more I realized that how a fragrance can actually change your mood.
So from Feng Shui space,
Yeah.
you went into
The products,
yeah.
because they were connected,
Gotcha.
right? And then I realized how I used to supply music to most of the spas in Dubai when CDs were available.
That is before the sound healing.
No. After the sound.
It's after the
Yeah. Because that time there were only CDs.
Right.
And I was supplying to, you can say, 90% of the spas. And we were supplying specific music made by healers for massage.
Wow.
Right? And then along with that, we were doing the essential oils, we were doing candles, we were doing crystals, we were doing incense, which is one of our real bestseller products. And because I feel, if you are making a product, it should be of high quality. And somebody using it should really feel a difference in the energetic state.
Yeah.
of the space.
Right, right.
Because if you can't impact a person directly, at least you can impact the space.
Mm.
You can't have time to go much in nature, then how do you bring nature into your space?
Well said.
Through these things.
So these things.
Right.
But I want to also understand that I was saying to you before also that fragrance,
Yeah.
essence, and essential oil.
Right.
So you're telling me the difference about it, but
Yeah.
if you can
So
little bit
essential oils come from plants and spices and herbs. They are 100% pure. That comes from a steam distillation method from these. Fragrance oils come from similar raw materials as a plant, but they are not completely natural. But then, if you in perfumes, for example, you get a perfume for 10 dirhams and you get a perfume for 1,000 dirhams. What is the difference?
what is the difference?
The difference is the raw material.
Mm.
Of course, the brand and all that matters, but that is why those brands are probably at that kind of level where, they are using high quality raw materials. And that's what makes the difference. And then most of the oils also come from resins, such as frankincense, myrrh, white copal, olibanum, benzoin, camphor. So they also come from these, and that is also used in a lot of aromatherapy nowadays.
The resins is directly coming from the
Plants.
trees?
From plants. Yeah, from trees. Like frankincense is originated from Oman. And at one time in history, it was sold at the same price as gold.
Wow.
It was the same price.
Wow. I know a little bit about fragrances. Because I was watching this show on YouTube called Why So Expensive.
Okay.
And they were talking about how it's made. Right? I know you know well about this very well. Would you be able to elaborate on it?
Look, I'm not a trained perfumer.
Okay.
I have a nose for fragrance and I have learned on the job.
Okay. Fair.
But oud is also coming from a tree.
Yes.
Mostly it comes from Cambodia, some parts of Assam and Sri Lanka.
Right.
These are the
Yes.
most known ones, and I think in the last 10 years, oud has become worldwide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the Middle East has been using it for
Thousands.
hundreds and thousands of years.
Yes.
But it's very potent.
Very good. And the manufacturing technique, we will ask our editor to add some of the
Yes.
pictures in there, is very unique. It is so unique that only the indigenous cultures will know how to do it.
Correct.
And then it spread across and everyone came to know about it. But it is, if I recall correctly, they put holes into the bark of the tree, right, which causes some kind of reaction
Yeah.
for it to form a conical structure, and then they pull it out, and hence all this wool is produced.
Yeah, I'm learning too.
but
No, honestly, because we all learn from each other.
yes, it was such a unique thing to see because everyone keeps talking about oud here,
Yes.
especially in Dubai.
Yes.
And I was surprised it's coming from Assam, of all places. We never knew.
Look, every country has such high natural resources.
Oh yeah.
Imagine the frankincense that comes from Oman and now Somalia and India and other places.
Right.
But like in India, there are the Alfonso mangoes. They say are the best, but there are many breeds of mangoes. We all like it, right? Likewise, there's a certain area in Oman which has the best frankincense.
Wow.
And I'm not sure if you're aware that a lot of the local Arabs in Middle East, they eat frankincense every day.
Really?
Yes.
In the food or
No, it's gum. No? It's actually in India they call it gond. Right?
Yes.
Now I can relate more.
So it is a gum from the tree.
Yes.
And always whatever is cleansing on the outside is cleansing on the inside.
Okay.
So if you burn sage outside, you will see all of Middle East, they have sage tea. They call it maramiya.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Frankincense is cleansing on the outside. It is also cleansing on the inside.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, a lot of the anti-aging products in the world have frankincense oil.
In India also we use it in the sweets also.
Yeah.
Yes.
In certain winter season,
Yes.
in
In winter
laddus are made of
laddus,
gold.
yes.
Our sweets.
My mom still makes it.
Let's hope we get some from
Yes. Now you reminded me. I can picturize it now.
Also, to my knowledge, I think frankincense is the one ingredient that is common to a church, a temple, and a mosque. I think. That's why it's so ancient.
Mm.
And what would that journey have been, right? Frankincense gets produced at Oman,
It's it was originally from Oman.
specifically, and then that journey of that stuff from Oman to all over the world.
Yes. You
and
go to any
by all
Yeah.
cultures and religions, like you said.
you go to any church, you will smell
What a
frankincense.
Wow.
And also, I had read somewhere that when in Egypt they found these mummies and they opened, there was frankincense
Oh
inside
wow.
because it preserves.
Vinay, you're blowing my mind.
No, that's what I read somewhere.
It's amazing. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I feel like these elements, or especially these, what do you call it? These items of senses are so common all over the world. Everyone can relate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when, last time you showed me one insight, which is when we do Havan.
Uh-huh.
Duni.
Duni. Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So all those what do you call this? Herbs when you put in the
Herbs,
Havan.
yeah.
And when you asked me to smell it.
Yes.
It was giving exactly the same feeling which I get in this yajna or havans.
So, but
How do you get these ideas first of all?
look, I sometimes think out of the box.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a Guruji. Thank God he's in my life, and he also guides me sometimes. Like he guided me to make incense from bay leaf, which is Tejpata. Okay. Now that is the only spice that is used in cooking, but never eaten.
Yes.
Let's throw it.
Take it out. Yeah.
Why? Because people think it is good for its flavor,
Fragrance.
but actually it's good for medicinal property.
Interesting. Then you should have it. You should not throw it away.
Maybe it's not edible, but the properties of that go into the
Are
food.
already there in the food. Yeah. once
But
it's
in some parts of India, they burn it, like sage. So I was given an idea by my Guruji that why don't you make incense from bay leaf? Then we made incense from ajwain. So you know when you smell ajwain and you drink the water, it's very cleansing.
Cleansing, yes.
So I thought, okay, let's make something from that. Then we have an incense that is made from halmat tea. Halmat tea is a base that was used to make a lot of incense, you can see many years ago. And if you go to especially temples in South India, you will find that fragrance in that. So we thought, let's make something from that which is, it will remind the person of some old memory of the temple or a spiritual place. Because fragrance is a memory.
Yeah.
When you smell something, it will always take you to a past, never future. So what is the smell doing? It's triggering something for you to remember maybe your grandmother's house, your parents' house, your trip to a hill station or a country. Yeah, probably for you, Naresh, yes. So fragrances are memories that we don't forget.
Vinay, I say the same thing for music also.
Exactly. The moment you hear a tune, you know the song, and if that song reminds you of a challenging time, you will feel emotional. If it reminds you of a happy time, suddenly your mood is changing.
You're just pulled back into time.
Exactly.
That specific time, space, that specific someone you were with.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
why
Gorgeous.
when people say that time heals, I think time puts layers. Okay? Because if that same person or situation is in front of you, the same emotions
Will
come
come
out.
out. Yeah.
So that means it's got layered down by so many other things.
That it's not
I don't
affecting
think-
you in the present, but it will.
But-
help us. Yeah.
Yes, I think it will trigger off the same emotions
Yeah,
if
you're
that
right.
same person or situation or song or anything like
You're
that.
right.
So
Or a
yes,
memory.
again it's a memory.
Yeah.
Again it's a
Or a
memory.
memory or a conversation.
See, we are not computers. No, you
Yes.
press Control or Delete and it's gone. It's a hard disk.
That's what I always say that when we do sound healing sessions, correct? So most of the memories which are stored in our brain or in the body also are in the form of sound.
Correct?
Yeah, it's, sound is energy. And somebody has spoken a bad word to you when you were a kid, or even your parents or anyone, it goes straight inside, and
Oh, yeah.
You know
that
something.
sound is recorded in your system.
Correct.
And that may or come as a trauma maybe in your future relationship.
Definitely.
That particular sound, if somebody just told you that, oh, you are not good looking, or you are not good enough, and it goes inside and it stays you. And then it creates some kind of a
Absolutely.
belief or some kind of conditioning inside you, correct? And that's what I say that when we, so this is one sound and it can be cleared with another sound. That's how I think sound healing also works, correct? You want a bit more because you have much more experience in sound healing.
I think, when let's say your child is being naughty and you have to discipline the child, I think the words are very important. More than that, the tone is very important.
Yes.
So you can say, don't do that or don't do that. It's the same three words. The tone is most important. Because that changes the whole impact on how it is received.
Right.
So that's why the sound of what you say is very, very important. Sure, the words are very important, but I think the tone and the texture of what you're saying can greatly impact
Because it decides the way you feel, correct? And that's
how
how
it is
you
received.
remember.
Yes. And friends can be sometimes a little, funny with each other. You don't mind. But if a third person comes and tells you the same thing, it affects you.
Exactly.
Because there's no
The
relationship.
And
is
friendship
different.
tone is very different again.
Exactly.
Comes in a very
As you guys are speaking about this, I'm going back into my memory and recalling all those events happening either with a teacher or parents. And when you say friends, I mean, you look. Now let's talk about the visual, right? You look at a friend, right, after a very long time, you meet him or her somewhere, and your whole demeanor just changes. You're almost filled with joy, exuberance.
Because you're
all of a sudden,
remembering the old times.
You're thrown back.
Memories.
It is
And that's why the most of the senses are here. Eyes, ear, nose, taste, they're all within this circumference. They're so connected to each other.
Right.
Touch can be anywhere.
Yes.
But these four senses are the strongest.
Yeah.
That's why they all impact each other.
interconnect.
It
They
is
are
such a,
interconnected.
and I have said this before as well, Vinay, and pardon me if I'm repeating, but it is such a unique journey that you are on, right? I know my friends and the career paths they've chosen. I know the younger generation and the career paths they are choosing. Choosing this as your career path back in the day, man, it is such a unique thing.
It was not easy.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Please tell us about it because it will be very
So
inspiring.
when
for
I
us.
had my office in Karama,
Yes.
and people would come to my office, so company name was Motion Trading. On one side they would see ball bearings, and the other side they would see incense and crystals. So they would be very confused, like, what do you do? So I said, I am going from what I have to do to what I want to do.
Wow.
I'm in transition. That's why I didn't change the company name. The parent company is still Motion Trading because for me it's movement. And yes, when I went for my first functional course, I had one of my very, very close relatives tell me that what is this nonsense you're doing for? But I'm so glad I followed my gut because that first course changed my life. And those were not the days when there was Instagram, Facebook, BlackBerry, email. Email had just started, and no downloads, nothing. People were using cassettes and CDs. And I remember going with a airbag, those old airbags with CDs to every spine saying, please use, please try, please try. So it was a challenging time, but it was a very fun and exciting time too.
You must be very passionate about this.
Yeah. I knew this is what I wanted.
Wow.
Because I always used to think, how can I make a difference and still earn a living?
Mm-hmm.
And in this kind of field, there's a very, very thin line between being spiritual and being commercial. You can tip either ways.
Wow.
So if you're not balanced, you'll either become this or you'll become this.
Wow.
So you have to continuously remind yourself that your job is just to facilitate the the inquiry of a customer coming. My job is not to tell them buy this, buy this, buy this.
Mm-hmm.
No. If they have a question, you should be able to answer it and let them have their own journey from it. But it was not easy. When
I'm
those
sure
years
it
it was not easy.
I'm sure it was. But that transition itself from,
Yeah.
from the initial business to this part and then learning throughout the way,
Yeah.
it is so inspiring because it's inspiring for me, at least for us, because we're on such a journey as well. I'm sure it will be very inspiring for the others who are listening, right? What is that one or two things that you would say that really helped you or guided you in that journey of transition?
So what I was doing, ball bearings, I was not enjoying. I was doing it because that is all I knew at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I always knew I wanted to do something with people.
Wow.
That how can I be of assistance to somebody? Because I'm very sensitive, I'm very emotional, and I know exactly how a person feels when they are hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I would always say, how can I do something where maybe I can be a little hope to somebody, a little guidance to somebody. How can I create an incense that goes into somebody's prayer and meditation?
Wow.
And I can be a small part of that chain. So that was my intention. And our team is here in Touchwood very good. They have instructions and they really work with passion. Their job is only one thing, that when a customer leaves, try to make them feel a bit more relaxed than when they came.
So what you're saying is you had there was an inner stone or a pillar that always guided you in this direction.
I think so.
Okay.
Because when I studied the first course, I loved it. When I saw my teacher playing the crystal balls on a Mind Body Spirit show in London in 2001 or 2000, I think, I said, this I have to do. There's no, I want to do this.
Right.
And then, once you're in that flow of thing and you believe in that flow, then one thing leads to the other, second to the third to the fourth.
That's amazing.
And that's how it went.
Belief. Okay.
Not that we have not had challenges along the way, but that's good. We have managed to overcome those.
It's all healing, It's all healing in different ways through different senses.
Yes.
And it's amazing how different people will interpret whatever you just said differently. Like Baba, I know he comes from that healing space. He lives and breathes that, right? And he got that part of your conversation.
Yeah.
For me, I always look for inspiration in everything, in everyone, right? And what I am seeing is I choose these few words. You said I had belief, and you said I always knew I wanted to do this. These few things you have to catch on. And for people who want to go on a different journey, I feel like these are those few things that if they can catch on and just keep going.
You have to believe in yourself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
There is no other option. I will share quickly one more incident that actually changed a lot in my life and my business, mostly. So somewhere around 2004, we were supplying, the salt candle holders to one of the big chain hotels here. I won't name them. And but I used to think, okay, they bought that once, but what will they buy again? So I thought they will buy candles, like small candles.
Right.
So I was trying to get this business for a long time, but somehow I was not getting this business.
Right.
But I didn't give up. One day I got a call from the purchase department. We need so many cartons. can you deliver day after tomorrow? I said, yes. This is the price. They send me a purchase order. Get the phone, they send me a purchase order. I had no candle in stock.
Wow.
Zero. I did not have the finances to import it then. I called up somebody, took a loan. I went to IKEA. I purchased in cash and I sold at a loss for 2 to 3 months until my goods came.
Wow.
Now that was something, I don't know how it came, but I just said I have to do this.
Right.
That was my entry into the hotel supply or spa supply business, and that changed a lot for me in my life.
Wow.
But it was a risk
Yes.
for 2-3 months to supply in a loss,
Yeah.
and pay in cash and give on credit and still lose money. So
I mean, this kind of passion will
That
only
was-
When you are so sure.
When you're so
that-
sure this is exactly what I'm
yeah, I knew I had to get into
That is
this.
so amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that happened.
No, very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing. Honestly, because I'm telling you, everyone is in a rat race, right?
Yeah.
And they think that if they do, A, B, C, or D, you get X, Y, Z. But might not happen, right?
It doesn't happen.
Again, in that, what happens is you lose track of who you were or who you wanted to do. And look, talking to someone like you and others, it really
I
inspires.
think the race has to be with your own self.
Wow.
How much you are better today than yesterday.
Yes.
And we don't always, we are not always there.
Right.
We always sometimes 6 months back, 1 year back, but the challenge is to just pull yourself back to say, okay, today I will be a little bit better than what I was yesterday. And it's a challenge, it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't end.
What keeps you going with this, getting more inspired, doing something more creative?
I love to create new things. And like I said, I'm not a trained perfumer. So I like to think out of the box. Because a trained perfumer, for example, knows that I cannot mix A with B and B with C and C with Z. For me, I have no boundaries. Because I don't know.
Right.
So I mix anything,
Yeah.
and out of 20 things, one thing surprises me and surprises everybody else.
Right.
But that's just one part of it.
Right.
But we do import other products, we co-create other products, which I love to do. And it's a very happy feeling when you see that people appreciate it. And we've been doing this, you can say I was probably the one or one of the first one or two that started this whole movement of business in Dubai. There was nobody selling crystals before. There was
Right.
nobody selling sage and Palo Santo. Now it is all very popular. But we did some good work, I think.
Also at that time there was not much awareness
Yes.
about these things, and also awareness that how it can impact your life.
Correct.
So it must have been.
Yeah, when we would import sage and Palo Santo, people say, what is this?
Exactly.
Now everybody knows.
I was the same person
Yeah.
before when I met you. Remember about
Yeah, he
Wasn't this
would
good?
not be interested in any crystal. I don't like. I don't believe in.
So crystals or even fragrances.
Yeah, I had to tell him, Naresh, try this, Naresh, try this.
So slowly, once you use them or once you keep them around and once you become more friendly or sensitive with them, then you see
They say they are very subtle forms of vibration. For example, let's say in India we make biryani. Yeah, there is cardamom put in it, elaichi. How much is put? Like
2, 3, maybe 4 cloves.
in such a big
Yeah.
one. So a small thing goes a long way. What does it do? Do you eat the elaichi?
No.
The fragrance of that whole
It's
tree
amazing.
is completely different. You put the same thing in a chai,
Yeah.
completely different. So small things have power to change big things.
Wow.
Just a small touch of that spice can change the whole feeling of your food.
Wow.
And people are used to having tea with cardamom or something, they cannot enjoy it without that. Or ginger or tulsi or things like that. So
Wow.
fragrance is an amazing part, visuals is an amazing part, sound is an amazing part.
Which brings me to, because Baba was telling me a few days ago that You were the first South Indian into that.
I was actually. I was.
2000,
How was that journey?
2001.
Yeah.
2000.
Wow.
So I started by doing sessions at the Fairmont Hotel and Spa, which is on Sheikh Zayed Road near the Trade Center roundabout. I think I did sessions there every Wednesday for about 4 to 5 years. And there was a center called Serenity in Mazaya Center. That's also where every Tuesday I would do sessions. That center shut down. Because the owner moved back to India. And then I would do, sessions at yoga events. Sometimes in schools. I've even done sessions in Jordan, Oman, where they would call me. I've done sessions for nursery kids on their graduation day.
Oh, wow.
And surprisingly, they would all be quiet. Like 40, 50 toddlers. Super quiet.
Kids receive the sound.
It
Amazing.
was, surreal. That, I mean, normally
It's so good.
you'd expect the child to,
Right.
do some mischief here and there. Super quiet. So 2-3 years I did that, and then of course because I started traveling a lot, so the sound sessions from weekly became fortnightly, then they became monthly, then they became quarterly, then they became annual. Then for a few years I was not doing it at all because the business grew. I started an office in Bombay.
Right.
Then I think about a couple of years back I started doing, but it's like maybe 2, 3, 4 sessions a year at the most.
Right.
I mean, fortunately, I don't have to do it for a living,
Right.
but I do it when I actually want to really.
Yeah.
do
Help.
it.
So, yeah.
So one of the reason we meet, so even once in a month or whenever he gets a new stock of the
Sound, yeah, I'm always asking, come and check.
okay, Naresh, I got the new stock.
Yeah, I'm always excited about what comes new.
Right. But Vinay, what I'm getting from all of this also is that once you start on a journey and once you find a passion and you've somehow mastered it, right? And then you've practiced it.
You don't master it actually.
Amazing.
Because master is somebody, in my way, in my viewpoint, a master is like a Chinese master with a long beard. He's almost 80. I mean, people don't get a Nobel Prize at 20. They get it when they've done 30, 40, 50 years of work behind them. So for me, master is somebody who's like maybe my guru.
Very humble, yes.
But so we learn.
Yes.
We're learning every day.
Right. No, so let me replace mastery by gaining experience.
Yes.
And then after gaining the experience, practicing. Right? Then you've come to a point where you can actually share that knowledge with people who want to grow in that field, right? You are in that space where you've done the due diligence, you've gone the hard mile, right?
Yeah.
And then you've reached the point where now you are in that space where you, even if you say a few things about that specific subject, it will really hit home, right? And that is what I really appreciate. Of course, like you said, you don't have to practice it because you don't need to. But since you have so much experience, you actually imbibed it in your business, and you can actually see it, around all around.
Yeah.
And I love that because those stories, those hard-earned stories, are the ones that actually hit home with people, especially in this day and age of everyone trying to be a guru, right?
I mean, if I may say so, for me, I think what people, whether they are learning sound therapy or Reiki or any modality, sometimes I see they learn on a Saturday, Sunday. The next Saturday, Sunday they are therapists, and the next month they are teachers. So I'm not judging right or wrong, but I personally feel you need to put in the practice.
Put in the work.
You have to put in the work for your own self first,
Yeah,
before you can even start to guide other people.
I agree. Because what you come to know along the way in your journey, those are the things that you can actually use as experiences for others.
Yeah.
Right? You can teach from your experiences rather than just reading a book or maybe just doing a course like you said over a weekend. I don't know how far you can actually go with teaching others from that.
When we used to learn meditation, our teacher used to say that you have to practice meditation by yourself at least for 1100 days every day.
How do you know?
If you do it, then only you can start talking about it. Not not teaching. Correct. If you practice every day and then you have seen all up and downs and experiences of that, then you only start talking about it. Teaching, you will decide later.
See, at least in, for example, people who learn yoga, they learn like a 200-hour course,
300-hour,
500-hour course. So at least you know this person has
Given it in the
in
time.
their body,
Yes.
they have got 200 hours.
Yes.
Otherwise, reading a book, you cannot become a yoga teacher. Reading a book, you cannot become a swimmer. You have to be in the water and swim to know what it is.
But Vinay, that's such a physical thing, right? It's very like, how do you say, tangible.
Yeah.
It's very tangible, and unless you actually do it, you will not be able to teach because you will not be able to do it.
Exactly.
Right? Asana.
How will you know? How will you know? You will not know what's going on in the body.
Mhm.
You may know the technical aspect of it, but I mean, I'm not a yoga person as such, but how will you know where's your something, which muscle is stretching, what's happening until you don't know yourself how to
Right.
do it.
Right.
So that's why when sometimes people come and say I want a whole set of crystal bowls or Tibetan bowls, and somehow they don't know about my background
Mhm.
because I'm not very out there.
Right.
So I ask them, where did you learn? Why you want the whole set? So I tell them first take one bowl.
Right.
Play that bowl when you're in a good mood, bad mood, good day, bad day, morning, evening, afternoon, night. So you understand that bowl will sound different.
That's
your
why you.
energy. Then you will come to one point where you know, okay, this is how it aligns with me.
Wow.
Then come and get the rest.
Wow.
The job is not to just sell. Also, that little bit what we can share and educate, we should do.
But again, that is coming because you have had those experiences.
Yes.
Had those
I was not allowed to sell crystal bowls for 22 years by my teacher. No, it was just a verbal commitment.
See,
And because she said, crystal sound or any sound is a vibrational frequency. If somebody who is not aligned with themselves in any manner, like they are talking one thing but doing all other things that are not in alignment with their health or stuff like that, that means those are the vibrations that they are going to expand in their life. So you don't want to take on that responsibility.
but see, the thing is, in this present world of quick gratification, people will not understand that, and that's why we're trying to put that out there. If you want to do anything substantial, it needs time, it needs practice, it needs experience. And unless you do that, instead of helping someone, you might end up harming someone.
See, I also started somewhere. I
Exactly.
also learned. So there is no right wrong. I'm not judging anybody for anything. But in any field that you do, you will need practice. Whether it's a accounting field, sales field, marketing field, engineering field, any field, you will need practice. And then this field is no different.
Right.
So it's the same time that you work.
And I think with the practice, when you do keep on, suppose you are practicing meditation, you are practicing the numerology or Feng Shui, when you keep on practicing it,
It sharpens your skills.
sharpens your skills, and slowly you start becoming that. Correct? You become that.
Of course.
Yeah, it becomes part of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a driving, after some time you don't need to consciously know how you are.
Exactly.
Correct. So you become the car, it conscious one. So in the same way, any practice becomes what you are, and you share. You can only share what you are.
What your experiences are, that's all
Otherwise,
you
you
can share.
cannot share. If you are not that, you cannot share.
Absolutely.
Very well.
You mentioned about the car. One
Yeah.
day I think I will write a book called My Car is My Guru. This title is with me from the last 20
Really?
years. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
How
Because-
is your car your guru?
So, just one perspective.
Sure,
here.
sure.
Yeah.
When we are driving, let's say we want to go reverse. Okay, we stop, we want to go reverse. Where do you look?
Mirror.
Which mirror? Side mirrors, rear view mirror, and you look behind.
Yes.
Are you going forward?
No.
You're going behind.
Ask him, he types.
But you sit in the car every day. You have to observe also,
Yeah.
right? So, the the machine is teaching you that if you have to go behind, you have to look behind. But if you have to go forward, you don't look behind,
No.
You don't look at rearview mirror. We look forward to go forward. So why in life we always look backward and we want to go forward?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
Amazing.
we always look
I love
behind,
I love
but we want to go forward. So why we look at the past when we want to go ahead? You have to look ahead if you want to go ahead.
But Vinay,
Car is my good. I love it.
from here we can go into the healings and all
Oh,
that. But
there's so many
ideas
ideas,
are in my mind because when you
I don't know, this title actually came to me when I was learning crystal sound
Ah.
in Catania, in Sicily.
When Vinay, it's so. See, there it hits you.
See,
You know,
that's
that
why-
these kind of things, it hits you.
that's why healing is important, I think, because when you are in this present moment, when you want it or you don't want it, you have to look in the past because it's coming, it's showing up inside. Maybe it's showing up as a memory or as a physical reaction or as a trauma. Correct. So it's not a choice sometimes when you are looking.
Correct.
So that's where I think the process of meditation, the healing,
All this matter is to help you.
all these tools like crystals and fragrances, they basically they are helping
They are
you
support
to,
systems. They are support
they are
systems.
helping you to basically maybe clean up your mirror,
Mhm.
so that what reflects in your mirror is either the present or the future.
Also, for example, when we have to overtake, where do we look? Where do we look?
And then this side mirror, yeah.
Yeah, but then you
And
have
then you have
to
to
look
do blind check.
Shoulders.
shoulder, right? Rear view is a short glance,
Yeah.
but you have to look at the side mirror more, and then you overtake. So it means thoda it's okay. You have to look,
Yeah.
but if you want to move ahead, that's where you have to.
Yeah, my teacher used to say, wherever you look, you go.
Yeah.
Right? If you look up, you go up.
Correct.
If you look down, you go down.
Correct.
And it comes in body language also, posturing, right? When you're walking, if you walk like down, people think that you're down.
They say keep your chin up
Chin up.
in a tough time.
Always.
So where intention goes, energy flows.
Powerful. Yes.
And we are also talking to we're talking about attention. How attention is very important in our life because
Yeah.
wherever we are looking is looking through the attention, correct? Or whatever we are
Focus.
listening
Yeah.
is even though I'm looking there, but if I'm listening to something, but I'm listening through the attention.
Correct.
Or if I'm feeling someone's touch. If I'm holding your hand, but my attention is somewhere else, I'm actually not feeling it.
No, nothing.
Correct. So, or if I'm talking and your attention is somewhere else, we are not, the
You're not
conversation,
here.
is, the conversation is not happening.
Correct.
So, how the attention is very important thing. So, if you want to again grow or if you want to go ahead, your attention should be there.
Yeah.
Not only eyes, not only
You
the.
have to be 100%. Otherwise, it won't happen.
And that's why I think.
See, last year, not last year, 2023 November, we had a fire in the next door warehouse that destroyed my warehouse completely. We were standing on the road watching it burn, watching all the smoke coming, watching the firefighters trying to prevent it. We were shut for 86 days.
This full
This warehouse.
Where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, and I have had another fire in 2012 in Karama warehouse. Unfortunately, that also we don't know how it started, what happened.
But that time you were not here in the.
In 2012, no, I was in Toronto. I was in Toronto. And when this fire happened, for 5 minutes, of course, I was shaken up because you get memories
Yeah,
of
of course.
what happened before. Of course, we had a lot of financial challenges and all. But you know, the next day, me and my team were sitting in Times Square at food court, preparing on how we'll make this better. So I give full credit to my entire team for having worked really hard. But you know what? We never lost hope. Our goal was okay. Now, how do we make it better than what it was? So you have to rise above your challenges. Otherwise, there is no other way.
Yeah, but Vinay, nowadays, what people don't know how to do, or maybe find a way of convincing themselves that they can do better, is having those tools and means of getting out of a tragic situation or a tricky scenario. People don't have the tools. Hopefully, with these talks, with these podcasts that we will do, people will find those ways. This sometimes, if you just listen to an inspiring reel or a short, that is more than enough for you to trigger that reaction.
It's not just hope that it is possible.
Right.
And everything is possible.
Right.
But coming back to your experience with this 2 fires, it's huge. It's not a small thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
huge.
It's a life-changing event of your life.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes.
2012 and
2023.
2023.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 fires in this
Yes.
11 years.
Yes.
How did you? How did you?
I will
Because I will say
when that fire happened in 2012, I was in Toronto. My son was in Holland studying entrepreneurship course. And at that time he was 20 years old. So I was like, should I tell him, should I not tell him? Because he might get disturbed. But I said, he's grown up, I need to tell him. So I made a call to him. I said, Mann, we have a fire. The entire warehouse is burned down. And it's a bad situation. What he told me gave me a lot of hope. He said, Dad, you did it once, you do it.
Wow.
That changed a lot for me. I said, okay, we'll do it. That changed a lot. And even this time when it happened, he was standing with me. He said, Papa, once more. So it makes a big difference, just somebody giving you hope. And encouraging words.
Yeah.
Encouraging words are so important.
And if it's coming from your inner circle, then
Yes.
it's so powerful.
Yes. So,
I last that inspired me also. Okay, what came from his teacher. Okay. The last warehouse was burned, and you know what was burned like?
So I'll tell him the link will probably. So when it happened, of course, I went back to my teacher. I was in Toronto. I was studying an astrology course, and I told her, such so and so thing has happened. It's like everything is burned down. She said, "Calm down. You probably did the biggest fire ceremony in the world." What do you mean? She said, "Yeah, what burned was sage, palo santo, frankincense, incense. You did the biggest fire ceremony.
All the things
Wow.
he uses in fire ceremony.
Something big got
Cleansed.
diverted or
Wow.
cleansed. No human life was harmed. So it's okay. You did a fire ceremony.
Perspective.
Perspective. That also, like I said, what do you mean? Like, here I'm sitting in a stress state and you're telling me. She said, yeah, don't worry, it'll be fine.
Wow.
And it became fine. Yes, it became fine.
But Vinay, when someone says something like that, right, and your perspective changes,
Yeah.
then you start looking at things very differently.
Yes.
You're not in that state anymore. And you're in that down, depressed state. It just switches your mind into something else. Yeah.
It does. So when this happened,
Yeah.
14 months ago, I was like, okay, we'll manage. Nobody's hurt, rest all we can manage.
And with God's grace, you have.
Yeah, God's grace.
And to receive those kind of comments in that way. If somebody will tell you, some people can also get angry.
Yes.
That how can you give me that perspective when I lost so
But the way she said it,
yeah.
was something that made me think. And of course, I was still not that, I was not
Yeah.
stressed, but, it was a little humor to a very tough situation.
Guidance. But somebody who can handle this, for me, I always say that there is lots of blessings of parents and also blessings of gurus, your teachers.
Without that, it's not
Without
possible.
that, it's not possible. You have done something wonderfully
I
past.
remember telling him when this happened, and he said, I don't know how you are able to handle it.
We got the call. This happened.
It's a life. But that's life. That teaches you that you've got to stay humble.
Grounded.
You have to stay humble and have your feet on the ground, because anything can be taken away in 1 moment, 1 second, and anything can be given to you also in 1 moment. So these are life's learnings.
But how do you bring about that detachment? Right? That is also a question.
But you have no choice. I had two choices. Either I sit with my head down and cry, oh,
Yeah.
what this happened again,
Yes.
and I have a team to take care. I have a family team. With so many of us, so many families dependent on this business. I had no choice. None of us had a choice. We had to think, okay, this has happened. Okay, now we know the procedure. 4 days it will be cordoned off, then insurance and blah 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 will go on. We still haven't got any insurance money. It's 13 months. We're still fighting. However, we had a choice to now plan and think of how can we make this work. We started planning in the next day. No option.
There's no other option. Yeah.
There is no option.
Yeah.
So it took us 86 days, but we opened again in 86 days.
Wow. Yeah, it's important for others to understand this though. If you are in a down situation, if you are depressed, you have choices.
You have a choice. Always.
You have choices. You can get up, dust yourself off, take some
Choices
time.
as per the attitude.
As per the
As per
attitude.
it. Maybe outside you don't see any choices.
Correct.
You have to go
No,
and act.
Not that there was no fear.
Yeah.
Not that there was no financial challenges. Not that there was no mental and emotional challenges. All of that was there. Because it's not a joke for some people. We have worked. There was no electricity in the warehouse for almost 2 months. We have worked without electricity, using hotspots within the office, trying to clear things. We've done a lot. But then that is the only option. We had no other option.
Yeah. And you have a story to tell.
We all have stories.
No, but this is a very. When I say stories to tell, from the very, I mean this must be happening with all cultures, right? When you grow up, instead of teaching you through words and stuff like that,
They would teach through stories.
teachers and your
Yes.
parents will teach you through stories, right?
Right.
And that is what brings a picture in your head, and that stays with you,
Of course.
right? So that's why I'm saying you have such a strong story to tell. If you start picturizing, because when you were telling me, I was standing outside.
I can share with you some images of what happened here. Maybe you would like to show that.
Sure.
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe somebody else might feel okay. You can come out of this too.
No, I was picturizing everything, and I was like, if you're in a situation in my mind, how would you deal with it, etc., etc. Because everyone goes through something like this, right?
100%.
Maybe not at the same scale, but
Look,
tough situation for everyone.
everybody is fighting a battle within themselves every day.
Yeah.
On any level.
Right.
And the challenge is how do you overcome your own things? Because many a times we feel, this person doesn't behave this way, that person doesn't behave this way. We hardly have control over our own self. How are we expecting that we will control somebody else or expect that person to behave like we want them to behave?
Yeah, and it's very difficult to bring yourself back to that thought, right? You are always thinking, I'll control this, I'll control that, etc., etc. But you need to always bring yourself back to that.
Yes. And there is a higher force, there is a universal energy, you can give it any name, but that exists. Because if today we are sitting here, after 2 minutes, none of us will know what thought will enter our mind. None of us. Yes, sure, you can act on the thought and say it is my will,
Right.
but who's putting this thought? Do you have control over the thought?
100%.
None of us have.
Yeah.
So there is a higher force that knows better.
I cannot tell you the number of times me and him, and there's another gentleman, have pondered upon the thought of free will versus destiny. And that conversation is never ending.
I'll share you an example.
Please.
My teacher, Master Joseph Yu from Canada, with whom I studied Feng Shui. So somebody asked this question in the class. He said, okay. He said, you are 32 or 33 of us were there. He said, let's say I give you vegetables, spices, oil, and a cooking gas to cook. And you all cooked. I cooked Indian, you cooked Chinese, you cooked Malaysian, you cooked blah blah blah. He said, none of you could change the fact that the vegetable is still a vegetable. That's beyond your control. What was in your hand was the flavor. That is new.
Wow.
So my style was different, somebody's style.
Yes.
So flavoring is in the hand. What you make of the situation is in your hand. Always the situation is not, cannot be controlled.
Wow.
And for that I had written one quote. Maybe this might be.
Please.
Coding.
You are not a chemical to react to everything that is said to you. You are a human being. Learn to respond.
Wow. Okay.
You are not a chemical.
Yeah.
You're a human being. Learn to respond.
Very well said. I think that's the title of the podcast. Oh wow. Wow.
Wonderful.
And for that water element, I had written, oh water, thank you for what you are. Whether you flow through my eyes or I swim through you, both ways you make me feel light.
I think that's the podcast for today. No, this is a very good
This is
closing note.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But I still
Wow.
have one question.
Yeah.
Please. I'm lost.
So, what's the plan for 2025?
2025, business is going to be zooming. I have some plans ahead for new products. I think 2025 I'm going to take some time off for my own self and hopefully do some more sessions this time. I'm also having a little bit of a health challenge because of what happened. Takes a toll on you, but at that time you don't realize it. So I have a little of knee problems, which I know can be fixed because doctors told me I need a surgery and all that.
Yeah.
There are other ways. So the theme for this year is my personal growth first, and of course business is part of me that continues.
Right.
But this is my goal is to work on myself so that I can be at optimum
Right.
level, to share at optimum level.
I think that's goal for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah. Same with me. Yeah. 2024 was tough.
2024 was a learning experience.
Well said. Yes. It was a
We
good
can we do a whole podcast?
Already.
We still have to talk about numerology with you. Yes.
No, there are so many things that we need to talk to you about
Yeah.
numerology. I mean, numerology is just one of them. I would love to get into depths of just crystals,
Crystals.
right?
Okay.
Different crystals and how they relate to different, numbers
Sure.
and planets, etc., etc. And of course, these deep talks that we've had, I don't think this is the end of it. I think we're just starting. So thank you so much
My pleasure.
for this episode today
My
and
pleasure.
talking to us.
It was fun.
It was really fun.
Really fun.
It was really fun. And by the way, guys, to the audience, this was free flowing. This was not rehearsed. So, and this is exactly how podcast is supposed to be. So, thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
including me in your journey.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And many more.
Many more. Manse.
Months.
Tagline.
Months.
Months.
So, thank you so much for joining. And see you soon.